Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Calexico Unified School District. Today is Tuesday, July 31st, 2012. It is 6:05, and we will begin our meeting. Again, just to let you know that there is Spanish translations outside in the hall. So if you need any translation, we welcome you to get your earphones. Si necesitan asistencia de traducción, pueden pasar al pasillo a agarrar los audífonos. Gracias. Ms. Burgos, can you call roll call?
Trustees present tonight are Kim, Valenzuela, Romo, Duarte, and Aguilar. You have a full quorum.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stella Mendoza, can you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Moving on to item C, approval of the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Romo, second by Ms. Aguilar. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number D, Superintendent's Report. First item, cash status update. Mai Randall. Oh, she stepped outside? Okay.
Must have walked out for a minute.
Okay.
She'll be
Mr.
right back.
Fagali, you want to do your superintendent's report while she
Yes,
comes
I'll
back?
do that in the meantime. My first one, I'm really pleased. I mentioned at the last board meeting about Mrs. Ana Montes and the AP exam that her students passed. Remember, I indicated there were 39 of the 41 passed the AP Spanish Lit, which means that the students go to any of the universities can receive 3 units of college credit for that. 14 of the 41 received the highest mark, that was a 5. 15 a 4, and 10 a 3. 2 scored a 2, and 0 scored a 7 scored a 0. And then Mrs. Yolanda Cota, who teaches AP Spanish language, had another great year. She had 163 of 173 passed the exams, 94%. 88 of them scored a 5. That's as high as you can get. 50 scored a 4, 25 scored a 3. So, I mean, it's incredible how great these 2 staff members have done for us, and I certainly thought that they needed some commendation. I did send them a thank you note and a congratulatory note. Ms. Randall, are you ready? And I'll back off on mine.
Good evening, board members. I really don't have a cash update in the sense that we are still working on our year-end close, and I will have a ending cash balance for the general fund and all other funds at the time of presentation of the unaudited actuals at our September, I think, 13th or board meeting. So other than we have cash at the moment, and we did receive our waiver deferral application was approved. Outside of what I've already reported, I don't have an update at this point in time.
Well,
Board members?
yes. You mean then we're not going to have any cash report on the August?
Unless there's something new.
Cash, you say you're gonna bring the cash update at September.
That is correct.
So we're
Well,
not going to have
since
anything on this.
Not an official, the long sheet that I provide.
Yes.
Until we're finished with closing the books up and through the beginning of September, I won't have an updated for June 30th until that time, because we're still, closing out resources and that type of thing and posting expenditures for the year-end close process.
So which is outstanding. I believe we still have another outstanding bill,
That is correct. And
including the GCR, the law firm. They never submit the bill yet. I think about 2-3 meetings ago you were mentioning that we're gonna have you're gonna request them to all the invoice. Did you
that we're going to have to post an
They're gonna have
accrual. I haven't received the invoices,
Not yet.
not at this time, no.
Okay, then how we're gonna have a cash report is gonna be factual. You said you're gonna be on September, but that time all the
All of the
outstanding bill is gonna
yes,
be
and
come out.
and just to let you know, what my staff is doing at this point is we're booking the accruals, which is posting the expense and setting up the liability payment to be paid out of this budget year. So the expense will be in the correct budget year, which is the 11-12 year.
Okay, so we're not getting any cash report on the August.
I could provide you with a cash report, but it would be the same report that I gave you in May, because again, we're still posting expenditures. So what would be on the sheet, it would just be at that particular point in time. So the June, it would not be accurate because we haven't finished closing the books through June 30th yet.
So we're not going to really spend any money on August then?
Would we have a pre-list or something, the balance? in the
You,
back of the
well,
pre-list?
you'll have a pre-list, but as far as the update in cash, the form cash, it won't be an actual factual form. It would just be for that particular day and time. But if you want to know the cash balance, I could give you a cash balance as of today. But then again, as we're transferring and correcting and posting for year end, those numbers will change.
But what I understanding, every month we're not going to be perfect because every month we still going to have a outstanding bill. Why this time is we're not going to have the July and July and August. We're not going to have the.
When you say an
cash report.
outstanding bill, I'm not understanding what you mean.
You were saying we're not going to have a factual, but any time when we have a cash report, it is not factual because we still have some bill is going to come later on.
Well, they are updated for the month as to what our expenditures were, our cash received for that month, and our expenditures going out for that month. So they are factual when updated for the month.
Yeah, but what I'm understanding is every month we're receiving, actually, until that time we're going to have it. So if you can provide us for the next August meeting, the regular meeting?
And that's what I'm trying to make reference to, since we're updated all the way through May. May is actual, but June, since we're closing out the year-end process, we're still posting as of June 30th.
But
so as we post every day and do accruals and all those types of things, the revenues are going to, all of these things are going to change.
Yeah, but we're not asking whole year closing book. I'm asking for at that moment of the August, how much cash we enhance.
Okay, so if you'd like me to provide you with, on the day of the board meeting, how much cash we have in the bank, I'd be happy to provide
yes,
that. Okay,
yes.
if that's what you want, then that's
ahead
what
and
I
do
will
that.
do.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And if you'd like, I could go run a report quickly, and I'll present, and I'll give it to board at the break, if that would be okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
The second item under my report is Mr. Calderon and I have been discussing the possibilities, and he's been talking with some finance people regarding the possibility of refinancing our COPS loan and our Zion loans to reduce our annual payment. Remember, it's about $1.2 million that comes out of our general fund off the top annually for those two loans that were made back before this board and this superintendent were even thinking about being here. It's been a while. But we are going to be talking with the finance company, and Mr. Calderon is going to try and have them here for the August board meeting to present to the board some possibilities as to what we can do to reduce the premium, premium, and also the rates of for the year, so we can reduce it from 1.2 to maybe 700 or 800,000.
So, Mr. Fogeli, how much are we talking about the interest rate?
Right now,
Yes.
right now, our cops in Zion, it's about 1.25.
Okay.
Is that about right? Yeah. Give or take 100,000, it's about in that ballpark. Because it's around 900 and 350 somewhere, 850, 350, somewhere around there.
So we have our interest rate around 1.25%.
No, our interest rate, I think, is above 5.
Above
But
5%?
No, above 5. What we're trying to do is refinance it at a lower rate and hopefully get it 5 or below.
So how much? How many more or less?
At this point, I don't know. We have to talk to the finance company. Okay.
So
but
we're just looking into the.
we're looking into it at this point so that we can present it to the board.
Okay, thank you.
The next item, you asked me to have investigated the cost of doing the videotaping ourselves, and we did come up with a cost factor. Our IT people were very efficient. Jaime, do you have a little video on that? No, that's not with the video. Okay. The cost to us, the total cost is about let's say round it off to $9,400, including the shipping. The other cost we would have on it, that's the only one-time cost. The only ongoing cost would be the cost of one of our employees being here to do the taping. I thought maybe you would like to consider that, and we can bring it back for the August 8th board meeting for the board to make a decision whether you want to go with our own folks doing it, or if you want to stay with Spectrum.
I've got a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned these costs, which would be the hardware, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you mentioned the cost of recording time, the cost for having staff here to record.
Yes.
Okay. Are we building in their time, editing time?
I'm sorry?
Are you building in editing time, or is there any
No,
type
during
of
the
editing?
editing time they can do probably during their workday.
Okay.
But I'm talking about the actual time here at that night. The editing would be done during the regular workday.
Okay. So that we're comparing apples and apples, or oranges and oranges, if you will. So are we talking about that the setup would be the same in terms of like when we have it on the website where you click on and it takes you specifically to that particular?
That's what that's a good question. And talking with our IT staff, that's the one area that they're having difficulty with. Are you still, I mean?
No, I think it's fine.
You got it. Have you solved that yet?
We haven't done it, but we found a way.
You did find a way to do that. That was the one concern that they had. The ability to go into the website and click on to a specific item, rather than to go through the whole evening. That's what you were.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that, from what I understand from when we looked at the contract, it also provided access to Channel 10.
Correct.
Would we have that same access?
That I'll have to find out. I haven't checked on that.
So that we have a
I can ask. I can ask on that.
comparable, are we comparing the same
apples
thing?
with apples, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what I understand in cable company, they have to provide the free channel for the public service.
I know IID does. They're on Channel 10 sometimes.
Yeah, and I believe the ICOE used to do it, and then suddenly they closed down. Probably we can use that channel, or we can request to
That's their
the
channel.
cable company to the channel.
And I'll bring that back for the next board meeting for.
Would
Thank you.
that item where it takes you directly, would that take another piece of hardware to do?
I don't think so, but I'm not that.
Not live.
Not
but,
live.
But it's, I think, I also have the same question as Mrs. Duarte. That particular area of the meeting where you click and find certain items on the agenda, would that require additional equipment? No? Okay. Okay. And I had another question for you, Mr. Fragali. Would that, having a tech here, does that mean that we would have one tech here, the one that's usually here, or we'll have
We
two
have
of
one
them?
additional tech.
One
here.
additional tech.
Correct.
So that would be the only extra cost,
Yes.
other than the purchasing price of the equipment.
Correct. That was the one thing that I did mention earlier, that the ongoing cost would be the cost of one of our employees at an overtime rate.
That would be 2 employees at an overtime rate.
That'd be the one we have normally, and plus the one more.
Adding another
Yeah.
one. So to make things clear, it's 2 employees being non-overtime.
That's correct.
I have a further question. And maybe it's not so much a question as to possibly identifying the elephant in the room. Is there going to be an issue with it being an internal process versus an external, where you have some maybe perception of it being more impartial if it's from the outside versus the inside?
Well, that was one of the concerns that we discussed originally.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee that happening. Could someone accuse us? Sure. I mean, they can do, but I have tremendous faith in our IT people that they would not do anything to edit the tape.
I agree with you. I'm just putting it out there that might be something.
Well, that again,
becomes an
that
issue.
was a question that was raised originally. That's really why we went to the outside first.
And I don't question the ethics of our techs.
Right.
And one last question for you, Mr. Fragali, and I guess for the tech also. So it's not possible to accomplish this with just one tech here? Would that be stretching it too much? I mean,
Well, I don't know.
Have the same setting as they have is not possible. Someone has to move the agenda plus also moving the camera at the same time.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's a program.
Yeah, the moving the agenda is not always moving the agenda. When we just passing through the agenda, the videotaping only they move the camera when the board members talking.
Yeah.
I think they have a remote control from the remote control.
I mean, there's gonna be things that is possible, but there's gonna be issues where I don't know.
So maybe we
He
can,
forgot to move it because he was doing something else here,
mhm.
Yeah,
and those things.
correct.
Well,
Can we consider it? I mean, can we?
Well, we can maybe take one board meeting and try it.
Mm-hmm. Can we at least try it?
I think that the point of spending money is to get the communication out to the community, right?
Correct.
That's the reason why we want this videotaped, and they can see the meeting at their own leisure as many times as they want. But I think that because it's important to have the 2 people so that it can look professional, because, I mean, we don't want to make an expense and it doesn't come out professional, and then we just give up on it, and here we end up with a hard drive with all the items that we purchased for $10,000. That seems to happen a lot with time clocks and other things that this district has bought, and they just sit there and not getting any use of it. I don't know.
I
don't
totally
want-
agree with Mrs. Duarte that
Me too.
we don't want it to look unprofessional, and that's why I asked the question. Is it possible to have just one tech here? But if you tell me that it's not-
I would interject that if let's assume that you agree that we're going to do it inside. I would strongly urge the board to begin with two.
Mhm.
And after they're familiar with it and have worked with it for a while, then maybe experiment with one, but certainly not at the beginning,
Okay.
because it's a learning process for them as well.
I've got a question for the tech. Would you be able to track the traffic in terms of how many people are visiting or checking out the?
Because the video is gonna be stored in YouTube, it already tracks how many views it gets.
Okay.
The video, each video.
So it's
Okay.
through YouTube. You're going to be using the YouTube component.
How does that-
Spectrum use YouTube?
That's what I was.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what the representative told me.
Thank
in
you.
the web.
Did you have another one, Mr. Aguilar? Okay.
I have no more questions.
Mrs. Romo, you have any more questions?
No, it's very expensive, but it's similar the cost for the city of Calexico. Is the similar
I think
cost?
they have
yeah?
the same quote, yeah.
The one item that we've added that does add an expense, and that's the other approximately $1,300, well, a little over $1,300. They refer to it as a joystick that allows them to quickly move the camera back and forth. If someone is talking, rather than trying to manually move it from one to the other. So I recommended that they included that in the overall price because in the long run it would be worth it.
Okay.
That's the last item on the. I'm sorry. That's the last item on the. That's the remote control, right?
Yes,
That's what you're referring to.
that's correct. I have here the Xerox bid. I've asked them to come to the next board meeting to make a presentation regarding their bid. I wanted to give you an opportunity to share, take some time to review it before they came, so you might have specific questions. I have an item that I just received in the email. Actually, was from Eric Hall's group that he puts out a little monthly newsletter. But what's interesting is the CDE, the California Department of Education, has commissioned UC Berkeley to do a study, which they've completed, to consider what kind of repairs, the amount of repairs for the facilities, school facilities statewide. According to Eric, there is some consideration for the state going to a state school building facilities bond in 2014. But what is really significant is, according to the report, in the next 10 years, the school districts in California will need to be repaired at the rate of $117 billion. So, I mean, we're letting the state has ended their deferred maintenance and all these other things, and if they continue that way, it's going to be really ridiculous. Two other items that I don't have listed. One is we were having lunch at Hometown Buffet yesterday, and Mr. Hargrave, who is the newly elected president of the chamber came over and was talking with Mr. Calderon and I, and mentioned that one of the things that we needed to really do was to get a pool done for the city, and we were talking about joint venture,
A swimming pool.
a swimming pool, and Mr. Calderon was talking about using joint facilities, but using some tax dollars in the long run. And he's going to have a proposal ready for the next board meeting. And the pool committees that were discussing this a while back, we've talked about having a meeting with the city, same members, including Mr. Hargrave, who's the president of the chamber, next week. And Mr. Calderon is supposed to have some numbers for us and methods and possible ways to raise the funds. The last item I have deals particularly with me. According to the new state law, AB 178, those of us who have retired and have come back to help, up until this new law was passed, we were able to remain in the retirement system and still work. On top of that, the new law provides us that we can work up to a certain amount of dollars. That's $40,000 for the year in order to remain receiving your retirement check. If it goes over $40,000, it's the retirement check is reduced dollar for dollar. So unless the board and I can come to some kind of an agreement, my time runs out in the middle of September. So we will be discussing that more later. But I thought you all needed to be aware that the law is now in effect. So it affects a lot. In fact, it will also affect Mr. Evangelist, our athletic director. So we will be talking more about it, but I needed to make that announcement. I needed to give the board some time to consider some things. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Madam President.
So, question, with this law, by mid-September, you either stay on board or submit a proposal?
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest that we have a conversation before the middle of September, but it's either the middle of September or, yes, basically that's it.
Okay. More things to think about. Okay. Moving on to item E, comments from the public. And we have a speaker, Raul Ureña.
Hello, I'm Raul Ureña, and next year I'm going to start attending the Calexico High School's main campus for my sophomore year. I'm probably going to be crammed into a classroom with 40 or more kids, and I'm probably not going to take chemistry because someone had the brilliant idea of firing a ton of teachers to save a little. And even if I have this right here, which is my AP Environmental Science completion certificate, and my recommendation letter from my teacher, I'm still not going to take it anyways because somebody fired my teachers again. Now, I just wanted to make it clear to the school board members that my fellow students and I will be alert to any of the effects of your failed governing policies, seeing how this directly affects us more than it does to the board. If I feel that my rights as a student are being threatened, whether it's in the form of excessive class sizes, inadequate school supplies, or dirty restrooms, you can be sure that the next day you will have a bunch of Williams Act forms just waiting to be read at the front office. You will have angry parents filling up your board meetings until you get your act together and do as you were elected to. If by then you still can't get it, we will make sure that you are never re-elected to any position, whether it's in county, state, or federal level. And on a side note, I would like to point out that last year at De Anza and at other schools within the district, there weren't any Williams Act forms in the front offices, which to my knowledge is a direct violation of the Williams Act. They really need to be at hand, ready for any student to report anything they see wrong with their school. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Diana Harvey.
Well, let's start. What I have to say is regarding Mr. Livingston's report to the county superintendent about how our budget came together and how some things are going to change for next year. But before I say what I want to say, I'll say this to the board that I was looking forward to sparring with Mr. Fregali. So let's see what we can do, because I wanted to put on my fencing gear and take him on. So I'm going to not be happy if he's not here. Now you're aware of what the report says, because I'm sure you all got a copy. But it does say that the
Excuse
district...
me, Ms. Harvey, no, we did not get a copy.
Oh. Okay, well, I got a copy under the Public Records Act. I asked for a copy of the report from Mr. Livingston because with the previous financial counselor, Ms. McLaury, I got a copy of her report, and I thought it was so interesting. So I thought, well, his probably is just as well as interesting as the last lady that was here. And his was not as detailed as hers was. I mean, she even went into arguments that she got into with the people during her tenure here. But his report says that the staff in the district is aware that the classroom loads, this follows Mr. Lloreña's comments, will be significantly different than last year. And we call our classroom load our class size. I'm looking forward to 50 kids, Mr. Fregali. 50 kids. I'm going to have 50 chairs set up in my room. I think that's, and then we're going to call the paper to come and take pictures. But I want to know what this significant difference in class size is going to look like. And also realize that we do have a contract with class size limits. We do have a contract with the state to receive all the money that we've gotten under QAIA. And if you exceed those limits, you know that we're going to report it. And you know you're going to be under the microscope about that. So besides the contract, you have a contract with QEIA, monies that you receive, and you also have a limit that's guaranteed by the Ed Code. So this significant class size really bothers me, and I'm here to let you know that in 2 weeks we will start readying our room. We'll have our class lists. Now, not until the students show up will you know, just like you always do on the first day of school, although nobody seems to be worried about the first day of school yet, but we are. We know we have to report the attendance by 5 minutes after the bell rings because you want to know how many kids are in the room. And we'll do that. And it will be an honest figure. But let's not have 50 in each room. But if we do, you have 10 days to resolve it. Okay, thank you.
Next speaker, Marsha Bach. Bauk. Sorry about that.
My name is Marcia Balk. I'm a special ed teacher at Maines Elementary. And I want to encourage you to go ahead and recommend the final job that has to be done, the repairs to Maine, so that we don't have to walk in pigeon doo-doo anymore, which would be a hazard to our health. But that's not really what I wanted to speak about. I wanted to speak about the last item on the agenda, about the stipend that the Personnel Commission recommends for 2 classified employees for a 5% stipend. Based on their salaries, that would be approximately $9,000. I want to know, number one, if we're still in such money problems as you bring up every time at these meetings, why can we afford that? And number two, I'd like to know what responsibility they are being given or paid for. I spent a lot of time on the computer today to look at the Personnel Commission because I had no idea what they were and why they were there. There were no minutes posted, and it has a ton of rules and regulations and everything that they can do. So they can very well decide to give anyone a raise, a classified raise, but I want to know why. And what is the extra responsibility they're getting paid for? I kind of look at a lot of people in this district that put in a lot of extra time with responsibility, extra duties, and all these kinds of things. And whether it's my business to know or not, you know, because everybody always says, that's a personnel issue. We're not going to get into that. But it should be noted. So when you go into closed session and you talk about it, which I'm assuming you were going to do because the actions are at the end of the meeting, then I hope you would try and find out what this is being based on, why the Personnel Commission recommended it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Vincent Cuevas. It says reduction of speed on Highway 98.
My name is Vincent Cuevas, and I was going to speak regarding, as a police commissioner, I did put myself down, but as a police commissioner, I am very concerned about the speed limit posted on Highway 98 between Rockwood and Encinas. It is posted at 25 miles per hour when children are present, to 45 miles per hour otherwise. With your crossing guard near C.N. Perry, assigned with the responsibility to make sure students make it across Highway 98 safely, this crossing is one of the most difficult and dangerous crossings in the city. I've received complaints about this situation and have been given the task to initiate a change. The change would be to reduce the speed limit that will help accommodate the crossing guard, some measured safety for the students during peak traffic hours. I implore that you prepare a resolution requesting the city and Caltrans to reduce the speed limit to 35 miles per hour for the above reasons. The city will also be approached with this resolution to follow suit with Caltrans. We may not change the speed limit overnight, but at least we can initiate the change. And I wanted to also refer to Nick Servine. He's a public works director of the city of Calexico. He's meeting with Caltrans tomorrow, and he's going to be bringing this up as an issue. They have to post a traffic expert and look at the situation. But this happens once the crossing guard puts her foot on the pavement, traffic has to stop, but they're not stopping. And that's one of the situations that I find over here at C.N. Perry, is that situation. So at this point, I leave it up to the school board to put together a resolution to send to the city so they can work on initiating the process. Thank you.
Mr. Cuevas, the phone number that is on here, this is your personal phone number? Okay, thank you. Deborah Whalen.
Deborah Whalen. I work at Dual School Special Ed Teacher, and I'm coming out on my favorite TV night because I've been bored this summer working, getting my daughter situated in a new apartment at Northridge, and so we had to stick around here. And I went online and I saw the results of the forensic audit, and it was just horrified. My husband just injected the printer with some more fluid today so I could print it out, and I was just looking at it where it was talking about, just on page 5, that there was a possibility of $26 million of contracts where they weren't available to see where those contracts were for vendors. Just horrible. And the thing is when I came in here to the district in 1983, I was so proud, and I still am proud of Calexico. But I don't want Calexico to have a reputation of being like a punchline. When I go and see my friends that work in other school districts in the valley, they always say only in Calexico. I want that to stop. Please, I ask that you would get the recommendation of the forensic team to do part 2 of the audit. And also they said in this particular report, it said that 43% of the tips that come in, or the 43% of the schemes of fraud that are made aware of, come through tips. So they said that the cost for a tip line was minimal. So I think this would be a really good investment in cleaning up our name. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have 2 more speakers, but they are on the item. Do you wish to speak now, Mr. Urias? Do you wish to speak now, or when we get to the item? Mr. Ureña. I'm sorry. Yeah, you want to speak at that time, or do you want to speak of it now? When you get there. And
Point of order. That's a familiar meetings.
Uh-huh.
Although I'm a parliamentarian.
Can you please come to the microphone?
For record, my name is John Anthony Romo, and I studied parliamentary law. It goes along with the Brown Act, Robert Rules, and all that stuff. And I was not aware that I was supposed to put my name in a piece of paper. I mean, this is a proper procedure that you adopted. I honor that. There was a couple of things that I wanted to say, but if I don't have my name.
since you're there, I will give you the opportunity to speak. Just fill out a form when you're done so that we can have it for the record.
When is your next regular meeting?
Our next regular board meeting will be August 8th. August the 8th.
About a week and a half. I have my research ready.
Okay.
I really
you can speak now if you want.
No, that's going to cut it down short for for your sake. You need proper information.
Okay.
And
so we welcome you to our next
board
meeting.
I really appreciate your.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item F. Board members' comments. Mr. Kim?
Okay. Before I started, I brought that on. Can you someone start it first? Because I need to find some information.
Sure, we'll come back to you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Valenzuela? Mrs. Romo?
Only I requesting for 2 items and for the last meeting, for the close camps for Calexico High School and presentation regarding for Family Resource Center for the next meeting, please.
Okay. Calexico closed
Presentation.
campus.
Mrs.
For Hortensia
Hortensia was
Armendariz
coming
is
tonight.
here?
Oh,
Okay.
she's
Hi,
here. Oh.
Hortensia. Thank you, Hortensia.
So you
For the next meeting, presentation for all Department for Family Resource Center. Okay.
what?
Yeah, the focus is for activities for this center. All activities, or yeah, please. Thank you very much. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Aguilar.
Yes, for the coming meeting, I would like to request that if not, I don't know whether it'll be in the open session or as a report. I would like to see what our strategic plan is in terms of identifying the priority of the positions that we need to bring back. I'm particularly concerned in terms of meeting the WASC accreditation requirements. I'm particularly concerned with the fact that we're closing in on August and having to register students and so forth, and we don't have the personnel in place. I'm concerned the fact that we don't have key positions or teachers, let's speak plainly, that meet the A through G requirements. Back here we have a thing that says we must have one single driving priority, which is the academic achievement of our students. Without those key components in place, we are not preparing our students for university. And the sooner and towards that aim, I appreciate the fact that you've had some long and extended conversations with ICOE, and I think we need to step up that level of conversation and include our community in there and ask for their support via writing letters to the editor and so forth, and putting that out there on our website. Thank you.
I also agree with Ms. Aguilar that we need to put pressure on ICOE to approve our budget. I have no idea if any of the other school districts have gotten their budgets approved so that they can move forward for next year. But because we are in the situation that we are, and we do need to bring some teachers back, so that they won't end up with 50 to a class. I was thinking, how is she going to end up with 50 to a class already? But the schedule should be in the makes, and we should know. And we do know how many teachers by school site we need to bring back. We have been working hard on that to make sure that we do meet the contract language, the state, and it'll be a little challenging. We are with our QUIA schools, since they do fund us, but they don't fund us, to cover every single expense. So, we need to work on that. But I do agree that, we have to at least get some of the staff back, and ICOE can't keep stalling. And thank God that Ms. Harvey mentioned about the report, because that should have been sent to us also, and it wasn't. So I don't know if it's a game for Ms. Mallory, but we need to start working together, and we need to start pushing to start getting some answers.
May I know I'm not supposed to during this time. May I just say one thing? I am meeting with her tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Actually, Maya and I are meeting to reiterate everything that has been said and done. And we are going to put pressure on her tomorrow to get a commitment from her to either approve the budget, and if she's not going to approve the budget, then we're going to request that FICMAC send their the team in of CBO to make the decision for her.
And also, there's a couple of the board members that will be going to, board members and you, to Los Angeles for the hearing. And I think we need to put pressure there because they want to know how we became solvent. So that's going to be part of our
Right.
of our speech to them, that, you know, it takes two to tango and the county is not putting in their effort. So
Pretty hard to dance alone.
yeah. I had one more other thing and I forgot, but I will email it to Janet if I remember. Mr. Kim, going back to you.
Okay, found the paperwork. Thank you. I found another grant for the title Innovative Approaches to the Literacy. They have a $750,000 grant. That's also from the federal grant. I wish we can use that for the improvement of our students of the education.
Thank you.
The deadline is the 10th of the August, but I believe most of the grant they needed first steps, the intention of the letter, and then later they're going to all the paperwork follow on that one. But I gave the last information of the grant. Unfortunately, we didn't do anything on those grants. Hopefully we get something. And the other one is I have my written statements. Save the time. I'm not going to read the date and my comment from the June Kim, Board of the Trustee, regarding G7, item 7. June Kim has many concerns on this major J audit. I would like to approve the VLS fraud solutions recommendation to do additional work based on the following: 1, possible fraud; 2, missing support documents; 3, missing contracts; 4, change orders what exceed code limit; 5, excessive change orders; 6, payments that exceeded contract amounts and the work that was not properly bid. Other concern from the VLS fraud solution audit report: 1, obtain background check of the David Alvarez, the superintendent, at the time Major J was passed, to determine if there is any known associate with the Garcia and the associate. 2, district was unable to provide the copies of contracts for vendors. In the case of the architect Garcia and associate, some has invoices had no other details than fee earned to date. I do not have the full accounting record of the school contracts, which Jorge Garcia, architect, he was paid for his services, but according to the auditor on Major J, he was paid assumed just under $3 million from Major J funds. My other concern is the Major J oversight committees. Proposition 39 on ballot has Educational Code section 154288-15288, which has rules and regulations on the Citizens Oversight Committee. It appears that our Citizens Committee did not follow the guidelines. Also, it appears that school board members were related to the committee members, and even school district employees were involved. This is needed to be future investigations. Also needing further investigation in the $64,500 contract that was awarded to Jorge Garcia, architect, on school board meeting on April 26, 2011. Motion was made by the trustee Norma Aguilar and the second by trustee Ruth Duarte to approve the contract with Jorge Garcia Associate for $64,500. Gloria Romo and Anthony Valenzuela also supported the Jorge Garcia contract. I future recommend that the school board formally request the Imperial County District Attorney for criminal investigation and the State of California Attorney General for full investigations. The taxpayers of the Calexico were deceived, and we need a full investigation on all tax funds. If any current board members try to stop this investigation, I will personally pursue this investigation to all appropriate public agencies, and we have many other concerned residents who want to stop the corruption at the Calexico School District. Action required employment report. I do not support the pay raises for the husband of the school board president. This is the personal issues, and it raised the bad perception in the Calexico community that the school board president has been negotiating the superintendent's contract, and at the same time the superintendent is putting this pay raise on the agenda. On the agenda, it is listed as a stipend. Again, I have personally witnessed the school board being involved in personal issues with families members. This is not fair to the other employees, and we need to stop this practice of the compadre system. Our governing board has made the attorneys, architects, family members, and the consultant the top priority for the school district checkbook. John Kim.
Just my only comment.
Yeah.
This is one for
For the
Jay.
yeah.
And my only comment was that we have been waiting patiently for the county to approve our budget, and we know and we understand that we need to bring some of the staff back, and that's the only thing that's holding us back. Therefore, I think we should, and hopefully by meeting tomorrow morning with them, you will find a solution or put some kind of pressure on her to approve or disapprove our budget so we can move forward with what we have to do. That's all we have. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All board members have made their comments. We're moving on to item G. Superintendent recommends approval of each of the following items. Item number 1, approve minutes of regular board meeting held on June 28, 2012, and minutes of special board meeting held on July 12, 2012, and July 19, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mrs. Romo. Discussion?
Okay, I didn't have enough time to read all of them.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the minutes. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 No.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Item number 2, memorandum of understanding with Imperial County Office of Education for the P16 Council Services provided for college-going initiative.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mr. Valenzuela. Discussion?
Yes. Why we have to relying on the ICOE? Why we cannot do our own counseling? Why we cannot hire counselors ourselves?
The P16 is a organization made up of business people throughout the county, San Diego State representatives, IVC, and I think there are 4 or 5 of us superintendents that are on the committee. It's to work together. It has nothing to do with an individual school, but it's working together collectively to make sure that all of us students in the Valley are getting the best they can get. That's why we're recommending it.
So what cost us? And physically.
It's on page 3, the top, third level, under value.
10,000.
It's right above the term. Above the terms, it's a little over 10,000. Each school district is charged a fee based on the number of students. Our fee is usually larger valley-wide because we have about 1/4 of the student body of the students in the valley. Ms. Aguilar, you
looks
I know
like a
you're
fee for
familiar
every
with it.
school district.
I'm sorry?
Looks like a fee for every school district.
Right.
Okay,
If
thank
you
you.
look at page 1 through one, you have page 1 and under numbers 1 through 9, it provides a description of what that coordinator
Yeah.
does. But in essence, it's a collaborative effort, not just of that coordinator, but all of the college going initiative programs such as MESA, such as migrant education, Gear Up, so forth. IBC.
It's very good programs.
Mr. Kim, this is not the board that you sit on
No.
for the
No, that
education?
one-
No? What's the one that you sit on?
The IVROP.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 3, approve the rental agreement between CUSD and Imperial County Behavioral Health for housing of the Vista Sands Socialization Program located at Kennedy Gardens Elementary School.
Discussion.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
discussion?
Second.
I motioned, Mr. Kim second.
That's
Oh,
second.
Ms. Romo motion, I'm sorry.
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Romo motion, you second.
No, he
No,
second.
Ms. Romo said discussion.
Discussion.
She said discussion.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion made by
Ms. Aguilar.
Ms. Aguilar and seconded
seconded
by Mr. Kim.
me, Ms. Romo. Discussion was.
Okay, Mrs. Romo?
Dr. Fragale, what is the fiscal impact in this rental?
That's a good question, Mr. Romo, and the agreement deals with some of our special needs students, and up until this year, we were getting credit. What they do is they use our facility.
Uh-huh.
They were paying us rent for the facility.
Okay.
Just for the daily use. And they were giving us credit toward our fee for the county-wide for these special needs students. And I realized that they were making no payments for the rent of the building, just the maintenance of it. So we were normally it's been $20,000 we've been given credit toward our share. And now I've added $10,000 to that, so we're now going to get, assuming you approve it, we will get $30,000. Our max expenditure now will be $7,000 rather than $17,000. So I mean and I don't know why over the years they have not been paying rent on the facility rather than just maintenance for our custodians. So that stopped as of now.
Okay, so it's going to be a wash, basically?
Basically, unless we utilize all 37,000, which could be, not likely according to Mr. McFadden. Chances are we're running about the 30,000, so it could very well be a wash. But we also included up to 37,000 because we wanted you to know that it could be that expensive. But it's really a credit toward the bill that they would send us for helping to teach our special needs students.
Okay.
Mike, is there anything more you need to add?
Nope. Not going to answer any questions.
I guess you will say something.
Well, I understand that, but I think it's a misconception. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. According to Ms. Bauk, essentially when we talk about the special needs population, we have a couple of things. Number one, we have special needs with respect to those students who are identified and receiving special education services. That's one group. The second group, we have that individuals that are identified that are receiving mental health services, but not necessarily through special education. Okay, so we have two components. And I think I had discussed earlier, we have special education and those laws surrounding it. We also have what is called Section 504, and it's accommodations plans that are associated with it. Both individuals and groups are entitled to specialized mental health services. Those services are being provided at the elementary level in our Vista Sands program. And so that's the clarification. So we have some students that are both receiving mental health services and special education, other ones 504 and the mental health services. And for one of the comments in terms of the rent associated with the facility, previously the room that had been used was paid for. That room was damaged during the earthquake. And at that point in time, it's my understanding that essentially no longer could a facility that was on piers, blocks, be used for classroom instruction. So at that point in time, behavioral health was provided. We were able to provide them with 2 classrooms at Kennedy Gardens. And then so, based on that, we got the cost of the rent for the annual basis, and that's what we built into to the contract for this coming up year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, I had a motion for discussion.
You had a motion for action.
Motion for action, okay. I have a motion for approval from Ms. Aguilar, seconded by Mr. Kim. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 4, award contract to the lowest responsible bidder for earthquake damages to Willie Moreno Junior High School.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Valenzuela, second by Mrs. Romo. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 5, we have one speaker, Mr. Raul Ureña.
Good evening. I would like to ask the board right now on item G5 to please ignore the recommendation on this and read the policies at least once before approving them. It's essential to read the policies so you can know what you're doing, let alone that it's the public's right to be informed of the new policies. This is clearly a way to keep the public from knowing what specifics that the title of the policy might not state. This should be a given. Also, I'd like to comment on the board policy 5132.1. The student dress codes. I'd like to say that the school uniforms don't negatively affect students' academic or behavioral performance. I think it's essential to let students, specifically teenagers, to be able to express themselves freely and be able to celebrate individual differences between each other. I believe that a learning environment in which students feel free promotes confidence and comfort. And that sense of comfort and confidence can help boost their overall learning experience, which is reflected in higher test scores. And it's also a myth that school uniforms prepare kids for the work world. This makes no sense. I think the only thing school uniforms would prepare them is the status paradigm, possibly. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should stop enforcing safety practices such as the tuck-in policy, but I just want students of all ages to start practicing the individualism on which this nation was founded upon. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no more speakers to this item. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mr. Valenzuela. Discussion?
Well, what is the purpose to changing the uniform? We obligate them to wear the uniform.
The uniforms, as I understand, are basically have been the same. Excuse me.
Dinner time.
I thought I had turned that off. The only thing that Mr. Pesqueda said that he wanted to maintain the dress code for ninth graders for the upcoming year, and since he was the principal of the entire school, and it's been their past practice, I said it was fine as long as they wanted it. But there's nothing changed on the dress code except what's been in the past practice.
Actually, the change is that they added a different color, and they added the ability for students to wear jeans, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, I'm sorry.
So there was change, and it actually
improved it.
Yes, it provides for that individuality
Yeah.
to a certain
Right.
extent.
Thank you.
I
I'd
gotta-
forgotten about that.
I have to add my 2 cents worth that I do agree with Mr. Ureña as to not having your child wear a uniform. I am a waiver person. I do get waivers for my kids, but at least we still have the opportunity for parents to request a waiver if they don't want
That's
a
correct.
uniform. So that is still not. I mean, that is still in effect. You can request a waiver for uniforms and wear decent clothes. I dress my kids decently, so that's okay. No saggy
Okay.
pants, no nothing.
Okay.
But it looks very good uniformed at the school sites. That's not my thing. But as long as we have waivers, people can get the waivers.
Well, I myself have a picture of the uniform till high school, and just like a militaries.
We can get those too.
Militaries. I'm going to post to my Facebook.
Like what? Like a military uniform.
It's we were all that time. We all raising the question why we don't have the regular clothing, especially a high school kid and junior high, and just like the United States. Now in Korea, they don't have uniform. They have some kind of uniform, but a lot of people they don't use it. And I don't know what makes sense to change, obligate them to using the uniform, especially the grown kids. And when I was wearing the uniform, we have to cut the hair like the militaries. We only can have like about 1 octave. The largest one, if we have 1/4 inches, the hair, we are really like fancy. We're going to be in trouble. And I believe especially high school kid, they should be able to wear their regular clothing. That's what I believe. And even Ms. Duarte yourself, do you try to doing the waiver for your kid? And why we have to using that and obligate them to wearing the clothing?
Well, I believe several years back, the community
Mhm.
voted for uniforms. And it came to the board and it was approved. So this was a community action. They liked it. I talked to a lot of parents. They love the uniform because they don't have to wake up their child and say, what are you going to wear today? My blue pants and my white shirt. That's what I'm wearing. But that is something that the community liked, and they spoke, and I believe the past boards approved it, and that's what we're doing now, again, is approving a small change in the way it's been for, I don't know, like 10 years.
It's less restrictive now than it was.
Yeah.
But right now, so what I see, the high school kids, they don't wearing the uniforms. Do they?
I'd like to point out that you've got Aurora who is wearing uniforms and is a high
It is a
school,
high school.
and the students themselves participated in the question and the discussion of what their colors would be and style of clothing.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, they did have an input.
And we also have the waiver. I mean, it's a matter of choice. If you choose not to send your kid with a uniform, then you get a waiver, and then you dress him the way you want to dress him. Or they can dress the way they please.
Okay, I call for the question. We have a motion by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mr. Valenzuela. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Item number 6, we have a speaker, Ms. Diana Harvey.
Yes, my subject on this matter is who does oversee the change orders and the following the contract once it's been written and accepted by the board? Because I believe Doblado Construction is the one who is mentioned in the VLS report as being a company that violated, well, it was supposed to be a matter of not violated, allegedly violated too many change orders that exceeded the limit. And, it really makes sense. You low bid, you get the bid, you get the job. And then you make change orders as it goes along, but you can only have a certain limit change orders. Otherwise, then your low bid was really not as truthful as it should have been. So Doblado Construction is mentioned. And I remember all this business going on at the time, and there were a lot of changes. So it probably wasn't the company's fault, I'll say that. But who monitors the limit of how many changes they could be made? And then the other thing about Doblado that I remember is they sued the district once upon a time for payment of some sort. So if you had a history of the companies that you work with, I realize they must have been the low bidder because you're going to accept their bid, but still, that's my question. Who does oversee the construction? Oh, you, Mr. Fagali? And
I oversee the
bidding process.
The changes and also the bidding. In this, in here though, Mrs. Harvey, it's not approving a bid. They've already received a bid long before this board was involved. Because there's been such a lengthy time between the bid, the acceptance of the bid, and proceeding with the completion, Doblado asked that the board take action to give them the right to proceed.
Right, okay. Now, that's my question. Who's going to monitor the process with this construction company, since we do have a little bit of a history with them? And, if they didn't proceed right when the bid was made and the bid was accepted, then there probably is going to be a change order for an increase for this and that, depending on what's going on. But do we have somebody other than the superintendent on staff that monitors that vets the bills?
Mr. Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, okay. Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Valenzuela. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion to approve by Ms. Aguilar. Discussion?
Yeah, I agree with the Miss Harvey. As almost every contract we receiving, they always have changes. They are always exceeding the contract price. And I believe for the prevent of the future, we might have to print the contract in up to 10% of the increasement. They have to take it, not by us, because they just as a bidding and the lowest price, whatever they can put it in, they're gonna find whatever reason they can say Maybe they just intentionally make something to make that happens to make the charging us more. We never know. We almost like living in. I feel like we're living in Mexicali, not in the United States. So every contract is being raised the price. So we have to find something way to for the future to put in the contract to make sure they are doing right. Even when we send the information to send the bidding advertisements, we should mention in those, because we're not trying to not accept any things like little changes with the extra loss of cost.
If I may, Mr. Kim,
Yes.
to respond to that, and with the bid that you've all approved earlier, I specifically sent an email. I think I may have given you all a copy. I specifically sent an email because the bid was so low compared to the other two bids that I specifically stated I will not accept, on behalf of this district, any change orders except if there's something unforeseen, like what happened with the asbestos and the paint. But since that particular job that you just approved as a board is surface work, and unless when they power spray to clean the facility to paint it, a patch were to come off, that's the only reason that there would be any unforeseen situation. So they assured us that there would not be any change orders. But we are and I've been very diligent about change orders, and both our architects and our maintenance, Mr. Martinez, have heard me more than one time that I will not allow change orders unless they're absolutely necessary, and we bring them to the board.
So right now, what we're approving for mains is $236,572.
That's correct, and that's again.
That's excluding the lead and the whatever new items that have
if something were to come up that they're discovered, this money is being paid by Calima. Remember, this is what we're just passing it through. We're not even getting the money. We're just submitting the bills to FEMA, and they're paying them directly.
Okay, good. So,
we had a meeting today, and actually.
Okay. I wasn't in. Okay. Maybe she can enlighten us.
Just to clarify, Mr. Fergali, it was going to go in the form of a pass-through type deal where we would just submit the bill and Calima or FEMA would pay the vendor directly. Well, we were going through that process, and Calima, FEMA, they don't want all of our information. They've given us, instead of the change order that they would normally get or that we would receive, it's just a one-page form that we will fill out, and the district will receive the funds, and then we will pay the vendor. Okay. There will be no upfront cost to the district. We will pay when funds are received. So we will not upfront any payments to any vendors for these projects. Thank you.
So if we don't have a Calima check, they don't get paid.
That is correct, and all vendors.
Calima says we don't have any money, we have run out of funds, then are we stuck with the check?
Well, if we sign a contract, then it would. My understanding, we would have to pay, but the vendors are well aware that there is a period of time. It could be up to 60 days. So whatever work is performed, they are aware that they will not receive immediate payment, and we will not pay until we receive funds, less the retention, of course, to these vendors.
So they understand this process already?
That is correct.
Doblado Construction?
Yes. All of the vendors associated with these projects for this
Why the
work.
change?
You know, they did not want to have to go through the change order and what we have to do. They didn't want the paperwork. They said it was just too much paperwork at the federal level or at the state level, and they would prefer that it was kept here at the district, and we just submit a one-page form for reimbursement or for payment. For payment on these issues. So.
Thank you.
But the district has made it very clear that we will not make payment until those funds have been received. Thank you.
Can we get that in writing from Doblado, please?
But this
okay.
This is for 2010, okay?
Yeah. We understand, Mrs. Roman. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 No.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Item number 7, we have a speaker, Mr. Vincent Cuevas.
I'm going to refrain from speaking on this
Okay. Okay, thank you. Item number 7, approval of the forensic auditing analysis of the Measure J bond conducted by Vicente Lloyd and Studsman LLP.
Madam President, I'd like to get some kind of a explanation from Mr. Fagali before we do anything.
Sure. Mr. Fergani, what's your recommendation?
Well, I wanted to wait, not during my superintendent's report. I think our next step, I'd like the board direction to submit this report to the district attorney's office and turn it over to the district attorney, and then urge them to follow up. I've been in contact with the firm VLS on several occasions. The expenditure for us could be enormous, and we could get nothing out of it. This way, if we turn it over to the district attorney, it would be Mr. Otero's responsibility to make the decision whether they're going to go forward. I would urge that they would do that, and the county would pick up the tab. There are so many innuendos here, but they're innuendos, and there's so little paperwork behind it. And I would suspect, in talking with VLS, the young lady's name was Jenny Fernandez. I think her last name was Fernandez. Dominguez. We spoke at length about it. And the problem is that we would have to go back to the companies that were involved, ask them to produce the bills, et cetera, and they're not going to be too anxious to do that, especially if there was any misappropriation. The DA's office has a better shot at making them produce the equipment or the paperwork. And I know that when I read the former report that Mr. Alvarez had appointed Ms. Burgos as a member and then vice chair, I knew there were some problems, but and that's why I asked that you allow us to go forward with the forensic audit. At this point, it would be much better if we turned it over to the DA's office, and I would ask that you allow me to do that.
Okay, I make the motion to written motion. I make the motion to formally request to the Imperial County District Attorney for criminal investigation and the State of California Attorney General for full investigation of a Major J. Bond. This is my motion, written motion.
I don't think that's a motion that can be made right now. What we have on the table is to approve or not. Well, that's a recommendation. That's a direction we can give to the
So I'm making the written motion clearly what my motion.
With all due respect, the board needs to vote on whether they want to adopt the analysis, and then this can be agendized. It can be an agenda item for the next board meeting to move forward.
Or they can give me direction.
Or they can give the superintendent direction.
Well, before we make, if we're still at discussion?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Just checking.
I have some discussion.
Okay. In terms of discussion, I think that internally there are other things that we can do. We still have employees that were here during the time that some of these things happen. I think that that's a process that we can initiate internally in terms of interviewing people who were here. There's been some turnover of middle management and upper management that perhaps that's I don't know whether that would be undertaken by us internally or by the district attorney's office, but that is, for example, I'll give you an example. We had a high turnover in our business services, and particularly again during the time that Mr. Alvarez was here. So it might be go back and look, identify those people who were here during those key times, and bring them back in terms of, you know, talking to them and getting information of what was the situation, what was going on internally at that time.
Yeah, but like Mr. Fugali was saying, is the auditor, they have a limit to investigate it.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is identifying those people who were in place at that time and that can possibly assist the attorney.
Well, the
DA.
The DA's office has the power. To subpoena.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I think we can supply names.
So they have a power to subpoena better and less costly than we do, and that's why I've requested that I would recommend that you accept the audit and then direct me to file this with the DA's office.
Okay. So I already made the motion last time when we bring this one for the forensic audit. At that time I already made the motion sent to the DA directly. We just spending time and money. It's a kind of going same place. And was Ms. Aguilar was mentioning a little bit. What I understanding, the Major J is the finishing by year 10, isn't it?
That's
2010.
About that.
Okay. Almost time of the ending, we have 2 payroll employees been administered leave, and that time they were, I believe they have a crazy things been paying somebody's the payroll overtimes. And I believe we supposed to assume it something goes on there. So they tried to using the final moment of the money. They removed it from the payroll clerks. There's a lot of money is been the paying a salary we supposed not using that Major J money. And I believe that Ms. Valenzuela was the seconded to strongly suggest to my board member we don't have to waste time right now. We already know clearly something goes wrong there. And we owe the community to transparency, show them we are willing to make this case set the case for the future. Any criminal and corruption in our school district shouldn't exist anymore. So I strongly suggest the board member to approve this motion to go further. We don't have to wasting more time.
And we need a motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Yes, I already did.
Yeah. You made a motion to move forward. We're approving this. I have a motion by Ms. Aguilar
but
to
he did make a motion, so I would like to retract my second, and I would like to make a motion to approve the forensic analysis and go with the superintendent's recommendation to move forward with the district attorney.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Valenzuela, second by Mrs. Aguilar. All in favor of the motion?
So why cannot send it? Why cannot send it?
We are.
It's in the motion, but we have to approve this. So, all in favor of the motion?
Hmm?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
And
Mr.
Thank you.
Fargali?
I like to follow my high yes on the condition we're gonna go for the pursuing for the DA and the Attorney General.
Yeah,
That is in the motion, Mr. Kim. Thank you. Item number 8, resolution increasing impressed petty cash account for school district as submitted.
Do we have some explanation on this?
It's only more money. That's it.
What this is, board members, it's a request to increase the petty cash in the superintendent's office and in the business services department. Currently, our petty cash is $400, and this is just a request to increase it to $1,000 for various uses around the district. Just so that the board is aware, we currently do not have a district credit card. So for a lot of things, that we have to purchase last minute. You know, sometimes the guys come in, they need to rent a trailer and do those types of things. Well, we don't have a district credit card to put it on, so we have to give them cash out of our petty cash. Well, since the district is in a position as to where we cannot reimburse our petty cash on a more consistent basis, we have to go through the pre-approval process. So it takes sometimes a month, and it could take even up to a month and a half before we can replenish the petty cash, and we don't have any funds available for district use throughout the month. So this is even though in all things. For our budget, $1,000 is really very low. Some petty caches well exceed $1,000, but just to keep things modest, moderate, whatever you want to call it, we're just requesting an increase to $1,000, and hope that eventually the district will be able to get a credit card so that we can still be able to maintain on a daily basis.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Please.
Have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
No.
Well, that went pretty quickly. I had a question, but that's all right. It's already been approved. I know you mentioned in terms of trailers. What other type of expenses?
Well, we for board meeting items, that we need, we have to pay cash because we don't have a credit card. So in the event, at some point we had 3 and 4 board meetings a month, and if for basic board necessities, it's at $50 a pop, then that's $200 gone like that. We have items like if there's a vendor that doesn't take our purchase order, or we don't have a purchase order available, if a part is $40, $50 here and there, they come to our office and get cash, and we can't replenish it because we're not able to produce a warrant until a month and a half later. So those are the types of items that we pay for out of petty cash.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Aye.
4-1.
Mr. Kim?
No.
You said no?
I said no.
Okay. So motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go into closed session. Aaron?
It is 7:40 and the board will now adjourn to closed session. 2 items for discussion. 1, public employee appointments pursuant to Government Code 54957. This includes all positions in the certificated and classified employment reports. And item number 2, public employee discipline dismissal release per Government Code 54957. Thank you.
Thank you. We will see you in a bit. We are back, and we are reconvening from closed session. Aaron?
No reportable actions taken in closed session, but I would like to make one clarification. With respect to item J14, I want to clarify that was per the superintendent's recommendation and not the Personnel Commission. And at this point, Ruth Duarte is going to step out and recuse herself, and will hand over her duties to Norma Aguilar so that they can take action on item J1. Thank you.
Members, we have items J1, approved Personnel Commission classified employment report for July 1st, 2012.
I make the motion to not to approve item number 4 and approve the rest of them.
Have a motion by Mr. Kim to approve with the exception of item number 4.
I mean, the not to approve, number 4 not to approve. No, not to approve.
So you're just, are you just making a motion for item J4?
J1.
I'm sorry, J1, item
number
4?
4, I'm making motion to J1, to make the motion to not to approve number 4, approve the rest of them.
Okay.
Mr. Kim, if I may, you can make a motion to pull an item and approve
No,
the rest
I
of the
made the
report.
motion only. I made the motion only.
Otherwise, you would have to make 2 motions.
No, yes. I don't have to. I said I don't
Do I
make
have
the
a second?
improvement.
Do
Don't
I have a
approve the
second
motion.
to Mr. Kim's motion? Do I have a second?
Mr. Roman was
Seeing-
second.
For me, it's pool, the number 4.
So item fails for a second. Do I have another motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have another motion?
I make a motion to approve the. There you go. I make a motion to approve the whole report and pull item number 4.
Second.
A motion to pull item number 4 and approve the rest of it.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Valenzuela, seconded by Mrs. Romo. Discussion.
I want a discussion. If not pull the item number 4, that means they can bring again. Yes, isn't it? They can bring back again to the items.
No.
Pulled over this time, but they can bring back.
Well, that would be tabled, Mr. Kim. If it's tabled, it can be brought out. If it's pulled, it's pulled.
Oh, well, the last time they pulled it, they bring it back again with the little different language.
Well, we're talking about this particular item at this particular point. So is your discussion regarding the polling or regarding the motion?
Correct.
Well, I don't like to see this one for the future. That's why I made the motion to doesn't approve it.
Your comments are duly noted. Any
Yes,
further
I'm just-
discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No, as followed. I like to put in the minute. The followed by, because I don't want to see this item anymore.
An aye or nay would suffice. Aye. Motion passes. 2, 3, 1. 1 abstention.
You want to bring Mrs. Duarte back in, please?
Okay, so we're done? Okay. It is...
We have
J2.
We have
didn't do the
J2.
J2.
Oh, we have, okay. I thought you were going to do all. Okay, item number J2, approved certificated employment report for July 31st, 2012. Mr. Fagali, would you like to say who your recommendation is?
The committee's recommendation was unanimously to recommend Dr. Isaac Estrada as the Director of Academic Services.
All in favor, I'm
Discussion.
sorry. Motion for discussion?
Motion for discussion or
Or
action?
motion for approval?
Motion. So moved.
Second.
So moved by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mr. Valenzuela. Mrs. Romo, discussion?
Yeah. What is the reason for the recommendation, Dr. Fragale, and how many candidates is for this position?
How many candidates were there?
Yeah. What is
We-
the reason for Dr. Isaac Estrada for Gloria Celaya position?
It was the
He
committee's...
have experience in this area. I don't know what is the reason.
When we interviewed the candidates, his answers were the best answers for the questions. He was very articulate. He explained his rationale for each of the questions. He has responsibilities for budgeting. This is a very demanding job that requires a real understanding of the Williams Act, the ability to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and the committee's evaluation was in that respect.
My specific question is, what is the experience that this Mr. Estrada in this area, the Gloria Zelaya position? What is the experience, specific? What is the experience?
I can't answer that because there's no one else in her position.
What is the other candidate? For example,
What?
other candidates, other persons.
I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss that.
What is in the second place and the third place?
I think
Those I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that we're reaching into the realm of
Other recommendations?
No, if you'll allow me, Mrs. Romo, by discussing in particular or in specifics other candidates, you are
with experience.
You're no, regardless of experience. When you start identifying specific qualities or specific skills or stuff, you're talking about personnel matters, and then that becomes an issue. That's not something that's for the public. You're violating the rights.
Sure.
That's a discussion for closed session.
Okay, I agree with you. My discussion is, I still believe to the other applicant could do better in the southern case of our school district, and the other applicants, they know our kids better.
Okay, but we have a motion on the floor to approve.
Yes, I understand that. Just
the
discussion time. I'm not
recommended.
trying. Yeah, so I'm making the amend the motion to the approve second level of the person to be hired as a director of the academic service.
Okay, I have an amendment to the motion to approve the second candidate. Do I hear a second?
What is the second candidate?
You can't discuss that.
The recommendation was for Isaac Estrada, so we need to make sure that we keep any discussion narrowly tailored to the superintendent's recommendation.
So essentially, what you're saying is that amendment can't be made.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cannot be
Cannot
made.
be made.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So either you accept it or you
don't.
turn it down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then amend the motion to not approve it.
We already have a motion on the
We
floor
have
to
a
approve.
we have a motion and a second to approve it, Mr. Kim. We will make the vote.
I'm amending.
You
You
cannot
cannot
amend. You have to vote. You have to vote on the recommended item.
That's why I'm amending to not to approve it instead of approve it.
But we can't.
Well,
That's what. That's
no,
what.
That's
you guys,
correct.
you guys don't second it. It's gonna be die anyways.
There's a motion on the table, so once that's voted on, if it passes, then that's the end. If that motion doesn't pass, then you can make another motion.
Correct. I call for the question.
Okay. So, I have
What
a.
is the motion?
The motion is to approve the recommended person, Isaac Estrada, to the position of Director of Academic Services. All in favor of the motion?
No.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No. Motion fails, 3-2.
I make the motion to approve the second person, second ranked person, and to hire as the director of the academic service.
Do I hear a second on the motion?
What is that? What is the second person? I don't understand.
Can we?
At this point, the board could reconvene back to closed session
I have a motion for the other item
You have a different motion.
in the next meeting, or table. Or
Okay,
whatever.
then we can go for the next meeting then.
Yeah.
So can we
Two
put it into a
recommendation.
motion?
I'm gonna make the motion to bring the second person next agenda.
You don't have to make a motion. You
Make
can
another-
provide
Make another
recommendation or provide direction to the superintendent.
Excuse me, Mrs. Salaya is here. At my request, if you remember, I mentioned that she was going to be off for the last 2 weeks in July so that she could be here the first 2 weeks to present a smooth transition. If we wait until the 8th, she will be here for less than a week.
Well, if we must wait, we must wait.
For the next meeting. No problem.
I'll make the motion to bring another recommendation for the next meeting,
For the
regular
next
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
so I have a first, I have a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes to bring another recommendation to the table next board meeting, 3-2.
The next meeting is in.
Next meeting will be August 8th.
Yes, August 8th.
August the 8th. It is now 8:43, and I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.